Kevin Costner ruined Yellowstone. Or is that just what the fandom would like to think? John Dutton was the star of the show, even when he'd infuriate fans with his rigid ways. The show was centered around two things: the Dutton family patriarch and the Montana ranch. Everything else, from interpersonal conflicts to land grabbing, came as an afterthought. You could say that the show relied on Kevin Costner to stick around, at least through the finale. But the Hollywood legend had other plans when he walked off the set of Yellowstone ahead of Season 5's Part 2 and hung up his hat for good. This sent the writing table into overdrive to come up with an ending. A great one, actually, and one that made sense of John Dutton's exit. Was this the way Sheridan had envisioned his epic Western coming to a close? Probably not, but fans believe he'll find a way to make the best of an awful situation. Still, we have to ask, how did the series creator plan on ending Yellowstone? Setting the stage for the perfect Western. Name a better modern-day Western than Yellowstone. We'll wait. We might just be waiting for an entire lifetime because, let's face facts, Yellowstone was endgame. And yes, this bold statement comes despite the fact that Sheridanverse is ever-expanding and the series creator is on track to introduce a spin-off in 2025, The Madison. That's a pretty tall order for a show, by the way, making it into one of the best we've seen in a long time. Still, if anyone could do it, it'd be Taylor Sheridan. In fact, Paramount's been so impressed with Sheridan and his chops that in 2021, they signed a multi-million-dollar deal with the guy to produce more spin-offs, limited series, or whatever he wanted to. No one was saying no to a project with Taylor Sheridan's name slapped on it. Well, no one except Kevin Costner, that is. However, to better understand how the show was supposed to end, we have to go back to the beginning. No, we're not talking about the show's beginning from Season 1 in 2018. We're talking about where Sheridan got the idea from, his initial plans for Yellowstone, and all the changes he's made along the way. This takes us back to 2013 when Sheridan was this close to retiring from acting. He's only semi-retired now, by the way, only taking up minor roles in his own productions. Anyway, after a career in acting, Sheridan decided it was time to start working on screenplays. Since the actor had relocated to Texas during his acting career, he got the idea for a Western from, well, looking out his window. Sheridan spent much of his time in rural Texas or rural Wyoming and decided the world needed a modern-day Western. This was what inspired the idea for Yellowstone, centered around the largest ranch in the United States, located in Montana. From 2013 through 2017, Sheridan tried to pitch the idea to several production houses. Initially, he'd had his heart set on making Yellowstone a movie and his sights set on HBO. In his own words, he wanted to create a Godfather-esque Western. Sheridan eventually got in contact with HBO, who, according to the series creator, had a lukewarm reception to the idea. They placed a few stipulations ahead of him, one of which was to get none other than Robert Redford on board. This was a big deal, and Sheridan really wanted to see his passion project go through. Despite nearing the end of his acting career himself, Redford agreed to taking on the role of John Dutton. That should have settled everything, right? Wrong, because HBO still wasn't accepting of the idea, claiming that they didn't want Robert Redford. They just wanted someone who was like the guy. So yeah, the HBO plan didn't pan out. The journey from HBO to Paramount was an unexpected one. One that worked well in the end, sure, but no one really saw it coming. You see, Sheridan's script wasn't necessarily in line with what Paramount was used to. Still, the two decided to gamble on one another, and in 2017, Paramount announced it'd be running its first scripted television series. Kevin Costner had already been contacted to star as the lead, and he readily accepted. Pivoting to Costner, the star initially agreed to what Sheridan had initially pitched, and that was a movie. According to Costner, he was thrilled to be part of an action-packed Western and loved the idea of it being a movie. If you know the guy, you'll know that there are few things in life he likes more than a good old Western and a long movie. So when Sheridan switched plans and announced Yellowstone would be a television series, Costner was a little taken aback, but agreed nonetheless. That's how much he loved the script. Initially, Costner was supposed to star in one season, and initially the show was supposed to run for one season. That is, Yellowstone was planned as a 10-episode limited series. The audience's reception to those first few episodes was what got everyone thinking about expanding the universe. Costner signed on for a couple of more seasons, and it was all smooth sailing. Until it wasn't, obviously. Kelly Reilly says this was always part of the plan. Costner eventually decided 5 seasons was 5 too many and left the set of Yellowstone. The reason or reasons for his exit are still up for debate, but it's been widely believed that he left Yellowstone to work on Horizon. At the end of the day, however, there was no love lost between him and Sheridan. Why? You'd think that the series creator would be out for blood after Costner derailed everything. But that's not the case. In fact, Costner's former co-star and on-screen daughter, Kelly Reilly, who plays Beth Dutton, confirmed that this was always part of the plan. No, Costner's impromptu exit might not have been part of the plan, but John Dutton's limited appearance in the finale was. According to Kelly, she'd had a conversation with Sheridan during season 1, asking him how he planned on ending the series. The series creator confirmed the ending, and Kelly claimed that it's largely been kept intact despite Costner walking out. Now, we know that Kelly didn't have to save face. If she's claiming that this was always what was supposed to happen, then we believe her. However, did it really not derail anything at all? Like, not one little thing? So, Kevin Costner wanted to walk away from Yellowstone. Sheridan and Paramount tried to get him to stay. They were willing to compromise on several fronts with the guy, but talks fell through when Costner wanted more creative control over John Dutton. That was when Sheridan and Paramount decided maybe it was best to cut their losses and move on. To be fair, Costner did try to come back. In 2023, he revealed that he had his people reach out to Paramount, asking if the star could somehow be part of the finale. According to Costner, he wanted to give John the ending he deserved. However, Paramount said there was no need. Sheridan had already written the script for the ending, one where John wasn't the central figure, and filming had already begun. Having Costner back would have resulted in another overhaul of everything they'd achieved. Paramount didn't have the budget for it, including Costner's salary, and Sheridan didn't have the time. You have to remember here that concurrent to the Yellowstone finale, Sheridan was working on the Madison. Of course, Kevin's exit from the series led to some changes and maybe some resentment. However, Kelly's claims that the show is still on track for the ending it was always supposed to have added another layer to the story. That, plus a director for Season 5's second half, has confirmed that John Dutton will be a prominent character in the finale, despite the actor himself not being there. Wait, what? Okay, so based on the trailer for the finale, we know that Sheridan didn't go with the usual Hollywood route, which would have been to write out the character completely, something that fans were initially worried about. We've seen it happen way too many times, and it kills a hit series. In this case, maybe because Kelly had already called it, Sheridan didn't go that route. If anything, the finale's trailer is one long epilogue by John himself. He's talking to Rip, and the two of them look over at the Yellowstone Ranch. Yes, the trailer features every main character in the series and the conflicts they're embroiled in, compared to whatever they've got going on. John's epilogue seems calmer. Maybe that's what Kelly meant by the ending the show was always destined to have. Sheridan probably didn't want to hold a petty grudge over Kevin Costner's head, especially if it meant hurting Yellowstone. Or maybe he didn't have to. Sure, Kevin's exit might have led to an earlier finale than anticipated, but not one that wasn't inevitable. That's to suggest that Kelly was right all along. Maybe the real finale involved less of the patriarch and more of the Dutton kids. That explains where we left off in Season 5's first half as well, with Beth and Jamie declaring war on one another. In hindsight, everyone in the fandom had a pretty good idea that the finale would focus more on the next generation of Duttons, with John passing the torch. The question still remains though, who? Taylor Sheridan ruined the finale. Here's something you don't get to hear about often. The series creator himself is responsible for a spoiler. To give you guys some context, everyone on the sets of Yellowstone got the full and finished script on day 1 of filming for the finale. This means that everyone knew how the show was going to end. There's a sort of fear that comes with knowing the ending, and that's the fear of slipping up. It might be a sly interviewer or a post on social media with props and scripts in the background. Spoilers are common, but the series creator giving away the ending definitely isn't. So, what happened? How did Taylor Sheridan ruin his own ending? Okay, so the word on the block is that Yellowstone isn't actually ending with Season 5. This news hasn't been officially confirmed as of yet, With negotiations between the main cast and the network still ongoing, we don't know a ton about Season 6, but we do know a few details. For example, we know that Sheridan's been pitching the idea of a 6th season for a hot minute now, and Paramount's interested in the idea too. We also know that a number of castmates have signed up to work on a 6th season, should it ever happen. But here's where Taylor messed up. Instead of keeping the news under wraps or letting the rumors stay that way, he confirmed that he'd been thinking about a 6th season. He also confirmed that the 6th season would focus on Beth and Rip. That's where he messed up. You see, the ending of Part 1 had many fans believe that between Jamie and Beth, only one would survive. Yellowstone's not the sort of show that shies away from bloodshed and gore, even when it comes to killing off a main character. That's why confirming that a 6th season would focus on Beth and Rip was the wrong move. For many fans, this piece of information confirmed the ending, or at least a part of it. A major part, to be fair. That is, Jamie's not going to make it out alive. Beth's probably the one who inherits the ranch, or at least the one who defeats Jamie and gets to decide what to do with it. Beth's taking charge, and Jamie's out of the picture for good. Gee, thanks, Sheridan. Theories from the Yellowstone subreddit. Leave it to the good people of Reddit to come up with fan theories that will blow your mind. In the Yellowstone subreddit, one of many actually, fans have been pouring in their theories, and some of them make complete sense. To preface this, Cole Hauser told Entertainment Tonight that he's read some of the fan theories and was shocked at how accurate a few of them were. This means that of the gazillion or something fan theories out there, there's one that hits the nail right on the head. But which one is it? Is it the ending that Taylor Sheridan had always planned? Let's take things back to Season 1 for a minute. So we all know that John had a health scare, and that was when, maybe one of a few times, he had a real heart-to-heart with his kids. Beth being his undisputed favorite, John told her that he'd always envisioned the Yellowstone Ranch staying within the family, and his kids staying a part of its legacy. That sets the groundwork for the finale, according to several fans. However, instead of the typical route wherein the Dutton kids get together, work out a deal, and even cut Jamie some slack, Yellowstone will have a twist. Fans believe that John's wishes will be honored, but a premonition from 1883 will also play through. So you know how Taylor has a lot of spin-off series planned for Yellowstone, right? Some of them are prequels like 1883 and 1923, and some of them are sequels like the anticipated 4 Sixes. Well, there was a dialogue in 1883 that fans are bringing up in talks about the Yellowstone finale.